This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Yi Chengying nodded absent-mindedly and said, "I definitely will." He was about to leave with the crowd when Yunxiao suddenly said, "Master Yi, can I have a Sea of Soul formation travel pass?" When the people of the sanctuary heard this, their faces turned ugly. All of them were cursing in their hearts. The Holy Region invited you as a distinguished guest, but you fucking put on airs and didn't go. You actually asked others for the Sea of Soul formation pass. Aren't you obviously embarrassing us? Yi Chengying frowned slightly and said, "Why do you want to go to the Sea of Soul formation?" "It's just a personal matter," Yunxiao said with a faint smile. "If it's not convenient for you, then forget it." Yi Chengying took out a token, threw it to Yunxiao, and said, "The pass is nothing to me. The strength you showed is qualified to enter the Sea of Soul formation." With that, he led the people of the Sea of Soul formation and left in a ray of light. The nearest teleportation array was near the Blood God Palace. Suyu gave Yunxiao a meaningful look, then said to the rest of the people, "Everyone, although we lost this battle, it's a blessing in disguise to be able to keep our lives. Many of you are strong, but in my opinion, you lack enough resources and profound-level weapons for cultivation. If you are interested in joining the Holy Region, I can take you in, but the minimum requirement must be the strength of a martial honor." Everyone was initially overjoyed, but after hearing that the minimum strength required was a martial honor, they all smiled bitterly. Most of the experts with the strength of martial honors and above had died in this battle. The survivors were all dregs who had not participated in the battle. The martial artists all frowned, weighing the pros and cons. They lived in seclusion in the boneyard because they were optimistic about the resources here. In fact, with their strength, they could get good treatment no matter where they went, but they would lose their freedom. If they took benefits from others, they would have to sell their lives for others. After a few rounds of consideration, only 3 people were willing to join the rest. The rest of the people left after bidding farewell. A look of disappointment appeared on Su Yu's face. This time, Yuan Si had suffered a great loss. 2 of the 5 experts had died, and the remaining 3 were also on the verge of death. No one knew how long it would take for them to recover. However, he still politely gave everyone a lot of primeval stones, and the martial artists were also very grateful. Among them were 2 survivors from the Red Moon City, who also left after a few polite words. "My young friend," Suyu looked at Yunxiao and said, "If you want to go to the Holy Region, I'll welcome you with the courtesy of an honored guest at any time." Yunxiao looked surprised as he smiled and said, "Then I'll be troubling you. I'll definitely go to the Saint-level Kasaya." There seemed to be a deep meaning in his words. Suyu's eyebrows twitched slightly, but he nodded with a smile. He turned into a ray of light and left with his group. After all the big shots had left, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They began to discuss what had happened. Everyone realized that this would be an event that would shock the entire continent. Those who had sex also left one after another to pass on the news. The great change in the burial land, the appearance of the devil, the heavy casualties in the Holy Region and the Soul Formation Sea, and the fact that the Void Martial Sovereign Zhuo Qingfan had personally come to suppress the devil. All these stories were quickly compiled into a series of popular legends that spread across the continent. The rest of the people from Blood God Palace looked at Yunxiao and the others, not knowing what to do. The person in front of them was the one they were after, but seeing his relationship with Suyu, everyone was immediately afraid. Moreover, after the Blood God's blood body was destroyed by Di Jia in one move, he had disappeared without a trace. Without a leader, they did not dare to attack Yunxiao without permission. "Everyone, we'll meet again if we're fated." Yunxiao looked at them with a smile, then turned into a beam of light and disappeared from the burial ground with Mo Xiaochuan and Yunxiao, leaving the people of Blood God Palace sighing and returning to their palaces. After everyone had left, what was left was a desolate land. The battle between Zhuo Qingfan and Di Yi had not only destroyed the sky, but it had also caused the entire burial land to be unable to see sunlight for several days. Furthermore, more than half of the mountain range in the burial land had been destroyed, and it had become the royal land. Suddenly, a beam of light fell from the sky. It was Yun Xiao and the other two. Young Master Yun, since you're leaving, why did you come back? Haolian Xiao Huang asked in confusion. There were too many people just now, Yun Xiao said. It's not convenient to do things. His body glowed and a starlight soul body separated from the demonic dragon. He flew into the sky and looked down at the earth. There's still some dragon breath left, the demon dragon said. He quickly flew into the broken ground and picked up some fragments, carefully collecting them. Looking at his two stunned disciples, Yun Xiao explained, he's collecting the remains of the dragon shell. Even though it's broken beyond recognition, it's still a shell that degenerated after the birth of a true dragon. Its value is incalculable, but it's a pity that Zhuo Qingfan destroyed it all. With a look of worry, he lamented, if it were me, even if I destroyed 10 vast ocean like dust, it wouldn't be comparable to the one and only dragon shell in this world. I see. That Zhuo Qingfan really deserves to die. Haolian Xiao Huang came to a sudden realization. Why don't we go and settle the score with him? If you have the time to talk, Mo Xiaochuan said coldly, why don't you help young Master Yun pick up a few more pieces of the dragon shell? Let's see who can pick up more. Haolian Xiao Huang dodged immediately and began to search carefully. They were not as sensitive to the dragon's breath as the demonic dragon, but they could still distinguish it. Wow, it's a... How can there be alligators in this place? I've seen a ghost. What? Haolian Xiao Huang suddenly cried out in alarm. He was in a crack in the ground, and his figure was nowhere to be seen. You're really an idiot, Mo Xiaochuan said impatiently. Even if you saw a crocodile, what's so strange about it? You could have just kicked it. Don't tell me you can't even defeat a crocodile. Eh? Crocodile? Yun Xiao's expression changed drastically as he rushed toward the crack. Boom. Suddenly, with a loud noise, Haolian Xiaowang's figure flew up and fell on the ground far away. He cried, wow, senior brother, you're right. I'm really no match for that crocodile. Standing at the entrance of the crack and looking down, Yun Xiao gasped when he saw the crocodile lying on a broken rock with its eyes half closed, sleeping lazily, as if it would never wake up. It's indeed this thing. Yun Xiao was taken aback. The crocodile was really transformed from the primordial astral wind, but the aura he sensed at this moment was much weaker than when he was in the outer space. He didn't know that half of the crocodile had already been captured by Ding Shan, and it only had half of its previous strength. What kind of crocodile is so powerful? Afraid that Yun Xiao would be in danger, Mo Xiaochuan hurried over. Yun Xiao made a silent gesture and said softly, don't make any noise. Don't alarm this thing. If we really fight, we might not be his match. Both Mo Xiaochuan and Haolian Xiao Huang were taken aback. If even Yun Xiao said so, it was obvious that the crocodile was extremely extraordinary. The two of them looked at it quietly with solemn eyes. Yun Xiao thought for a moment, then slowly performed the Great Realm Divine technique with both hands, making the Divine Realm tablet shoot out of his forehead and gradually transform into the power of the world, falling toward the crocodile. He wanted to try and see if he could take it directly. The moment the power of the world touched the crocodile, its half-closed eyes suddenly opened. With a low roar, it turned into a whirlwind and shook the Divine Realm tablet away. The whirlwind rose from the crack in the ground and grew bigger and bigger. What? Yun Xiao was startled and shouted, kill it. Mo Xiaochuan and Haolian Xiao Huang attacked at the same time. Their fist intent and sword qi turned into two beams of light that shot into the astral winds. However, they were repelled and could not be hurt at all. After Yun Xiao's Divine Realm tablet was knocked back, it immediately turned into a small mountain under his control. The power of the world spread out rapidly and pressed down on the crocodile, causing the whirlwind to roar and crash about, shaking the entire Divine Realm tablet. Yun Xiao had also consumed a lot of yuan qi. Every time the crocodile hit him, his qi and blood would shake, impacting his meridians and body. Although it was very uncomfortable, he had stimulated the power of his body, turning his skin golden to resist the impact of the crocodile's qi and blood. Young Master Yun, how is it? Mo Xiaochuan cried out in surprise. Their attacks were almost ineffective against the crocodile, and only Yunxiao's power of the world could suppress it. But, under the golden light, his face turned red, as if he was having a hard time holding on. In fact, it was not that their attacks were ineffective. The Emperor Qi of the Nine Heavens could suppress all powers in the world. It was just that their levels were too low to be able to hurt the crocodile. It can be blocked. Yunxiao took a deep breath and said, "Let's see how arrogant this crocodile can be." He took out a large number of Southern Fire golden crystal sources and supported himself while replenishing his energy. A hint of joy flashed in his eyes as his blood qi trembled. He discovered that his physical body had a small breakthrough for the first time since he had achieved the imperishable golden body. Boom boom boom. Under the suppression of the Divine Realm tablet, the crocodile was running around wildly, but its strength was getting weaker and weaker. After a while, it finally gave up and turned back into a crocodile. It lay on the gravel and slept again. Everyone was speechless, and Yunxiao was also sweating. The power of the Divine Realm tablet was still covering it, but it dared to sleep with ease? He pointed with his finger, and the Divine Realm tablet fell down suddenly, trying to subdue the crocodile. The crocodile floated up again, and the previous scene happened again. After several collisions, its strength was obviously not as good as before. It went back to sleep, and after repeating this a few times, it was finally exhausted. Filled with joy, Yunxiao sucked it into the Divine Realm tablet and did not encounter any more resistance. "There's something wrong with the crocodile's intelligence," Halian Xiaohuang said, embarrassed. "Why would we take it? We might as well just kill it. His intelligence is on par with yours. Are you going to get rid of him too?" Mo Xiaochuan asked. After putting the crocodile away, Yunxiao took the Divine Realm tablet back into his body. Immediately, he felt a stronger force gradually erupting from his body, which was definitely a stronger state of the indestructible golden body he cultivated. "There seems to be a lot of room for improvement in my physical strength. It's just that I'm missing the second half of the cultivation technique and can't make any further progress. The backlash from the crocodile's attack on the Divine Realm tablet just now agitated my qi and blood, and I broke through the limits of the first half of the cultivation technique. The first half of the technique also uses some extremely twisted movements and self-torturing cultivation to constantly break through the limits of the physical body. Perhaps I can find some ways to do it myself." Yunxiao pondered for a moment and said to himself, "All the martial arts in the world are connected, and this body refining technique should also have a great similarity. It seems that I have to get some body refining techniques to study." He said to Mo Xiaochuan and Halian Xiaohuang, "I don't need to explain the power of the tyrant body tempering technique. I'll now pass on the first part of the technique to the two of you." Mo Xiaochuan and Halian Xiaohuang were overjoyed. Even if this cultivation technique was said to be the best in the world, it wouldn't be an exaggeration. At least its owner was the genuine best in the world. The two immediately sat cross-legged, and Yunxiao directly invaded their spiritual seas with his divine will, imprinting the key points of the cultivation technique on them. This method of passing on the cultivation technique was extremely dangerous, but it was indeed the best. The person receiving the reward had to completely open up his sea of consciousness and let the other party's divine sense enter. This required a great deal of trust. Otherwise, if the person who imparted the reward had a little evil intention, the person receiving the reward would be completely finished. In just a few breaths, the first part of the tyrant body tempering technique was passed to the two. With a casual point of his finger, Yunxiao dragged them back into the Divine Realm tablet and let them slowly comprehend it. He sat down cross-legged and began to adjust the changes in the power in his body. The power rising and falling in his muscles made him want to roar and fight, constantly strengthening his body. Soon, the demonic dragon had collected all the dragon shell fragments that were scattered around. They weighed more than 100 pounds, but this was already an extremely small portion. Yunxiao opened his eyes slightly, which flickered as he sighed and said, "If there's a chance, it seems that I'll have to find a way from Ao Changkong. Ao Changkong's background is very mysterious, and it seems to be related to the natural moat cliff. Maybe I can start from Nanqiu, which seems to be less dangerous. You'd better look at what's in front of you. You're only a 3 stars Marshal Supreme. Do you really think you can snatch the body-refining divine art from Ao Chongkong? The demon dragon snorted. Yes, Yunxiao nodded. I'll cherish it. He put the demonic dragon and the dragon shell fragments into the divine realm tablet. Then, he turned into a ray of light and fled thousands of miles away. He chose a secret place to land, took out the divine realm tablet, and went in himself. As soon as he entered the divine realm tablet, he immediately took out the cauldron of mountain and river, which turned into a tall mountain and stopped in the sky. Yunxiao kept sending incantations into it and operating the cauldron of mountain and river, while he himself turned into a beam of green light and rushed into it. A heatwave hit Yunxiao in the face, and he felt as if his body was about to evaporate in an instant. But in just a moment, the temperature dropped abruptly, and it became extremely cold. It was actually an extreme force that was hot and cold at the same time, spinning in a circle inside. With a thought, the extremely cold and hot air immediately parted, making a path that pointed forward. In the blink of an eye, a bloody light flashed, and the blood fiend, which had been trapped for a long time, suddenly appeared. It roared and pounced at Yunxiao with an aura that was about to tear him to pieces. Where did this hatred come from? Yunxiao chuckled, and the scene in front of him changed in an instant. He and the blood beast immediately stepped into the divine realm tablet from the cauldron of mountain and river, then his figure turned into a thunderbolt, allowing the blood beast to pass through his body. Roar! The blood fiend pounced on empty air. It seemed that it had suffered all kinds of grievances during this period of time. All of its rage erupted at this moment. Blood chi rushed out and covered the sky and earth, revealing an incomparably huge form. Its body also became somewhat transparent. More than 10 profound-level weapons kept spinning in its body, emitting a powerful force that was continuously transmitted to its whole body. Yunxiao narrowed his eyes and looked over with a demonic gaze. He saw 2 profound-level weapons spinning out of the blood fiend's body, and as if primordial chi was flowing through its meridians, they went directly to the blood fiend's eyes, then broke out of its body and shot out of its eyes. Both of them were 8th-tier profound-level weapons, and the saber and the sword exuded a powerful force as they flew toward Yunxiao. The blood fiend's own strength was not too strong. The most terrifying thing about it was that it could exert 100% of the profound-level weapon's power. This was something that even a martial sovereign of the 9 heavens realm could not do. With a light wave of his hand, Yunxiao shot out 2 beams of sword light, piercing through the saber and the sword in the air and completely destroying them. He was the ruler of the divine realm tablet. Even a complete 9th-tier mystic artifact could not hurt him. The blood god's celestial master's giant puppet ruler that he had casually taken away was an example. However, it was obvious that the blood beast had a bad memory and had long forgotten about it. As for these 8th-tier profound armaments, he didn't even have the intention to collect them. He would just directly explode them. How could those poor cultivators on the continent endure this? The blood beast was taken aback, clearly not expecting Yunxiao to break its attack so easily. It roared suddenly, and with a fierce look in its eyes, more than a dozen profound-level weapons were unleashed from its body. For a moment, they were dazzling and powerful, spinning around it and bursting out with a powerful force as they rushed forward. It was at this moment that Yunxiao's face turned serious. He naturally did not take those 8th-tier mystic artifacts seriously, as they were all destroyed at his will. However, the hammer was an ancient profound-level weapon that contained the rules of thunder, so he had to be careful. 5 northern heaven chilling star swords appeared, like a rainbow crossing the sky, and under his command, they exploded those 8th-tier profound armaments one by one. Bang bang bang. The air was filled with the sound of cracking. Blood Fiend's eyes were wide open as he roared continuously. All the profound-level weapons in his body, including the Celestial Master's giant banner ruler, were all destroyed. At this moment, only the small hammer in the sky was gradually emitting a golden light. Tadpole-like characters appeared on it. Thunderous pressure spread out and spread in the air, as if it was going to tear the space of the Divine Realm tablet. Humph. Yunxiao snorted coldly and said, "It's because I was afraid that you would escape, that's why I've waited until now to finish you off." The Great Realm Divine Technique was performed as his hands danced, and the territory power in the surrounding heaven and earth emerged. For a moment, the heavenly might surged and stacked on the hammer, instantly turning into the divine realm monument's world power and suppressing the power of the thunderbolt. With the hammer as the center, the moment the world energy appeared, the sea of lightning stopped expanding and began to slowly shrink. The hammer seemed to feel the huge pressure, and its aura weakened, no longer daring to release energy so arrogantly. Now, evil spirit, come out and cut off its direct connection with the hammer. Yunxiao cried out as he clenched his fist and slowly pulled the odd hammer toward him. The moment hammer was suppressed, the blood fiend was also dumbfounded. In a moment of inattentiveness, the evil spirit immediately rushed into his sea of consciousness and began to take control of his body. Roar! 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 It kept roaring in the air and rolling around, as if it was in extreme pain. Yunxiao carefully controlled the hammer, fearing that it would suddenly lose control. After a few breaths, he felt that the mark of the blood fiend on the hammer had completely disappeared. Overjoyed, he put it away. At this moment, the biggest threat of the blood fiends had been eliminated and the 2 9th-level profound armaments were now in his possession. Now, spit out the earth-growing soil. Yunxiao condensed a huge palm shadow in the air and suddenly slapped it down. The golden light instantly hit the blood fiend and completely shattered its bones. A large number of blood droplets scattered in the air and flew to the side. They condensed again and turned into beast form. There was fear in his eyes as he said, "It's me, stop fighting, stop fighting." Now that it was under the control of the evil spirit, it was afraid that Yunxiao would attack again, so it begged for mercy in horror. Yunxiao said softly as he looked down. After the blood beast was smashed by the palm, it was shaken out of the breathing earth and floated in the air, the size of a fist, emitting a faint yellow light. I've finally obtained it. Yunxiao breathed a sigh of relief. With a wave of his hand, he sent the breathing earth directly into the vast land of the Earth territory. A dull noise rang out from the entire Earth territory, as if it had been filled with infinite energy and was venting its excitement. At that moment, the evil spirit slowly flew out of the blood fiend's body and curled up in the air. It looked at Yunxiao in horror and said, "I've done what I promised you. You can't go back on your word." It did not have any trump cards at the moment, so it could only hope that Yunxiao would keep his word, or it would really be finished. "Yes, don't worry," Yunxiao said. "I don't have the martial emperor's body you mentioned for the time being. You can choose to leave, or stay in the Divine Realm tablet and let you possess me after I get a body. It's your choice." The evil spirit heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like this man was not a man who would go back on his word. It was in a dilemma for a moment. If it left, it would be very difficult for it to seize the martial sovereign's body with its ability. However, if it continued to stay, it would undoubtedly be a risk. If this man suddenly turned against it one day, it would be turned into ashes. It struggled for a while before finally gritting its teeth and saying, "I've chosen to stay and wait for the martial sovereign's body. You're going to become a peak martial sovereign, so don't lie to me." "Don't worry." Yunxiao laughed. "It's good to stay, maybe they can help." The evil spirit's expression changed slightly, and it said in shock, "I'm only staying to wait for my physical body. I'm not working for you. Our relationship now is peaceful. You can't use any means to threaten and force me to do things." Yunxiao's lips curled into a smile as he nodded and said, "Don't worry, I won't force you. If I really need your help, I'll definitely give you a satisfactory condition for your choice." After losing all the profound level weapons in its body, the blood fiend's aura had dropped drastically. It lay on the ground pitifully, shaking its head like a sick cat. Yunxiao said to himself, "I don't know how many warriors' blood essence this thing has absorbed. It is undoubtedly a supreme treasure for those who cultivate blood techniques, and it is also a rare material for me. I can use it to refine many good things. I'll just keep it here for now."